Could the EU new car market manage growth in the first half of 2025? What models are leading the global electric vehicle market this year? And will the EU secure a trade deal with the US before it's too late? This is the Automotive Update, presented by Autovista 24. I'm Autovista 24 journalist Tom Hooker, here with the latest edition of the Automotive Update. I'm going to take you through the last 7 days of headlines from Autovista24.com and the wider industry. First up, ACEA has revealed its EU new car registration figures for the first half of 2025. After recording a 0.6% year-to-date decline in May, June was the last chance for the bloc to record a positive result for the first 6 months of the year. However, total deliveries across the 27 member states fell by 7.3% in June, with over 1.01 million units registered. So, total deliveries are down 1.9% in the first half of 2025, with 5.58 million units. This is a deficit of 79,777 registrations compared with the halfway mark in 2024. Of the 27 EU member states, just 12 registered growth in June. Out of the 4 largest markets, Spain continued to perform strongly, helped by a surge in volumes for battery electric vehicles or BEVs and plug-in hybrids or PHEVs. Conversely, Germany and Italy suffered double-digit declines in the month, and registrations in France continued to slide. On a more positive note, Ireland enjoyed the bloc's biggest overall registrations climb with a 63.2% year-on-year increase. However, it is worth keeping in mind that this is a smaller volume market. Other member states that achieved double-digit increases included Croatia, Finland, Latvia, Lithuania and Portugal, with the latter being the biggest of these markets. But anyway, that's enough about the individual countries. Let's take a look now at how the powertrains are performing. And we'll start with full and mild hybrids, which have now become the dominant choice for buyers in the new car market. More than 1.4 million hybrids have been delivered across the EU, amounting to a market share of 34.8%. During the same period last year, the technology still sat behind petrol with a 29.2% market share. June saw a 6th consecutive month of gains for hybrid models, with Spain accounting for the highest number of registrations. Moving on, electric vehicles or EVs, which consists of BEVs and PHEVs, continued to see growth in June. A 7.8% year-on-year increase in EU BEV registrations meant that the technology made up 16.7% of new car volumes last month. Meanwhile, PHEV saw a healthy 41.6% year-on-year ramp-up, giving the powertrain a 9.3% market share. Together, BEVs and PHEVs accounted for 26% of the overall market, and this was the highest EV share so far in 2025. Now, looking at some countries in particular, Sweden and the Netherlands continued to push forward in EV adoption with healthy BEV figures and also double-digit PHEV gains. Widening the analysis to the first 6 months of 2025, EV registrations command a 24% share of the EU new car market, with over 1.34 million units. This rounds up to a 21.1% year-on-year increase. Then, if we take it one step further and add hybrids into this EV mix, this pushes the total electrified vehicle market share up to 58.8% in the first half of 2025. However, although electrified volumes are increasing across the board, declining registrations of internal combustion engine or ICE models are preventing the overall market from growing. Petrol suffered a year-on-year slump of 25.4% in June, while diesel's decline was even more pronounced, with a 34.1% fall. ICE models represented 36.7% of the total new car market in June, the powertrain grouping's lowest monthly share so far in 2025. Only 5 countries recorded an increase in petrol registrations in June, while diesel volumes rose in just 4 member states. After 6 months, ICE registrations are down 23% year-on-year, holding just a 37.8% market share. So overall, it will certainly be worth keeping an eye on EU figures for the rest of the year. And you can do that on Autovista 24, where we publish monthly new car registration figures analysing the region's results as well as each of Europe's big 5 markets. While you're there, sign up for our free daily email, bringing all the headlines directly into your inbox. Also be sure to check out Autovista 24's YouTube channel as well, where you can find our launch report series, webinar discussions, and our What Is Explainer videos. I'll leave a link in the show notes. This week, Autovista 24 also looked at the global EV market's performance in May with EV volumes. I'm delighted to welcome Autovista 24 special content editor Phil Curry to discuss the leading BEV and PHEV models. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Tom. Great to be here.
And it's great to have you with us. So let's just dive straight in. The big question, how did the global EV market perform in the latest numbers?
Well, growth is continuing in both the BEV and PHEV sectors, and rapidly as well. All electric models saw a year-on-year improvement of 26.3% in May, with around 1.08 million units delivered, while plug-in hybrids improved by 42.7% in the month, with nearly 650,000 registrations. So uptake really is continuing at a pace.
And after 5 months of 2025, how is the market looking?
Well, between January and May, the BEV market increased by 36% with just under 4.87 million units, while the PHEV market improved by 33.5% in the same period, with nearly 2.76 million models registered.
And which countries are leading the charge?
China dominated the global BEV and PHEV markets in May, with the USA in second for both. Then came Germany and the UK. There was a difference in fifth place, with South Korea placing there in terms of BEV registrations, while Spain's impressive growth this year saw it take fifth in the PHEV market. In the first 5 months of the year, it's a similar story. China leads the world in terms of BEV and PHEV registrations, followed by the US, then Germany and the UK. Again, there was a change in fifth across the two markets, with Spain making the top 5 in terms of PHEV deliveries, while France was fifth for BEV registrations, despite the market struggling across the 5-month period.
Interesting. Well, I think let's move it on to the individual models now. And I have another big question for you, Phil. What was the leading BEV model in May?
It was the Tesla Model Y, which led the way in the BEV market by a considerable margin, and this is despite a slow month in the dominating Chinese market. Speaking of China, the Geely Guillaume Xingyuan was the second best all-electric model thanks to its performance in this domestic setting, while the BYD Seagull, also known as the BYD Surf, was the third best all-electric vehicle in the month.
And what about plug-in hybrids?
In May, it was the BYD Song Plus, also known as the Seal U, that led the way, and in dominant fashion as well. But the model lost volume in the month itself, just as it has in 3 other months of 2025. The BYD Song Pro was second, while Li Auto saw its L6 model take third place in May.
Thanks very much, Phil. Now, if you want to find out the full analysis of the global EV market in May, including which models are leading the charge so far in 2025, you can check out the article on autovista24.com. I'll leave a link in the show notes. The EU and US are closing in on a trade deal that would impose 15% tariffs on European imports, according to the Financial Times. If the EU agrees to the deal, it would avoid the threats made by US President Donald Trump to raise import tariff rates to 30% starting in August. The news comes after the US President's trade deal with Japan this week. The agreement lowered tariffs on auto imports to 15%, from levies totaling 27.5% previously, Reuters wrote. This caused shares in Toyota and Honda to surge. The European Commission is working on a plan to ban car rental firms and large corporations from buying non-electric vehicles for their fleets from 2030, as written by German newspaper Bild. According to Bloomberg, the move would affect 60% of the new car business if enacted, citing one Brussels lawmaker. The Commission plans to present the proposal later in the summer before submitting it for parliamentary approval. The regulation could accelerate the EU's plan to phase out combustion engines. Germany's Federal Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, has spoken out against the proposal, as written by Handelsblatt. He stated that the plans completely miss the need that we currently have together in Europe. These are not the proposals that are right. Rather, we want to remain open to technology. If you'd like to explore today's stories in more depth, then head to the show notes and click the link to our companion article on Autovista 24. A big thanks to Phil Curry for featuring and co-producing in this episode. Additional thanks go to Autovista 24 web editor James Roberts. The music was Better Find a Solution Fast by Richard Ames. Thank you very much for listening to the Autovista 24 podcast.